Here's another big example, and this is out of Mark 16. It's actually the ending to the Gospel of Mark. I'm actually going to bring the Gospel of Mark on here so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. But if you're looking at the NLT, here's the King James again. Notice that the King James just kind of goes right through without any markings or anything. But if you look at any modern translation, you've got a couple weird things going on. First of all, you see the bracketing titles here, and they're telling you that these endings are not reliable. In fact, you can see that they're definitely not original. But not just that, there's two alternate endings. So not only is the ending of Mark not original, there's two non-original endings floating around. And it looks like what happened was the original ending to Mark either was lost, or Mark just ended the gospel so abruptly that people thought the ending of Mark was lost, and so they tried making up different endings to kind of conclude the story. If you kind of follow the story, I'll just let you know what happens after Jesus is crucified on resurrection. On the day of resurrection, the ladies go to the tomb and they see that the body is missing, and the angel says, "Don't be afraid; he's risen from the dead. Go tell the disciples." That's what the angel tells them. Go tell the disciples and Peter, and that Jesus is resurrected. But the women run away, trembling and fearful, and they say nothing to anybody because they're too afraid. Now, that's the ending of Mark as we know it. There isn't anything else to it. So if you think about it, it's a really awkward way of ending a gospel. With Jesus resurrecting, the women knowing, hearing this from an angel, and then not telling any soul that Jesus was resurrected. So it kind of makes sense that that the copyists were looking for some way of ending the gospel, and so you've got two alternate endings. Anyway, I just want to show you that. Now let's look at some of the evidence here. The oldest manuscripts, such as Sinaiticus and Vaticanus, do not include it. Now these are really old, 4th century. We also know that it's not original because some manuscripts have one ending and the others have another. So you can tell that they were trying to figure out which ending to go with, and so it takes away credence from those endings. And a couple big things is the passage contains words that Mark never uses, and some that don't appear in the New Testament at all. So even the vocabulary is not Mark or New Testament for that matter. On a narrative level, if you read these endings, well, I'm going to go with the longer one. Starts in verse 16. On Saturday, when the Sabbath ended, Mary Magdalene and Salome, they're introduced into the story, and then again in verse 9, they're introduced again. So that kind of doesn't make a ton of sense. It goes right from here, and then they're reintroduced. It is a different day, but you would kind of expect just the them to be continued referred to as women. So something's probably happening here as far as the story goes. Now it is in some Byzantine texts as early as the 5th century onwards, but the older manuscripts are missing it, and because the fact that there's multiple endings going on, or alternate endings, and the vocabulary switch there, the manuscripts that do include it are very questionable. So anyway, there you have it. These are some really big textual variants. You've got the ending to Mark. You have 1 John 5:7, that Trinitarian verse, and then you have the woman caught in adultery in John 7:53 to 8:11. So those are some big passages that are definitely not original, and examples of variants. kind of want to end on a few notes here. Early modern English translations, I'm talking about the King James and Geneva Bible, were based on very few manuscripts. I'm pretty sure the King James was based on less than 12. Don't hold me to that. But I think it was around 12 or something like that. They were very late 12th century onward, and then in the case of Erasmus Greek text, the last 6 verses of Revelations were missing. So these weren't very reliable texts. You compare that to modern translations, anything. I mean, NLT, ESV, NIV, GNLB, well, maybe not the Living Bible, but the Holman Christian Standard Bible, the RV, RSV, NASB. Anything modern is based on texts that go as early as the 2nd century. They take all the manuscripts, even the younger ones from the 12th century on. So what I'm trying to say here is, just because we found older manuscripts have been found, it doesn't mean that these later ones are neglected. They're just all taken into account. So now scholars are looking at 5,000 manuscripts, not just a dozen. Finally, one of the cool things about English translations is that you can find a commentary. There's actually a book written out there that tells you why some verses are questionable and some of them why they're not, and how the panel, the people who write these modern Greek texts, how they came to these decisions. Since we have the beauty of software here, I want to show this to you. Let's take a look. So it's called a textual commentary on the New Testament, and this was written by one of the main influential people who developed the Greek New Testament that all modern translations use. Now this has got a little, some technical language in here that's kind of hard for beginning Bible students, but essentially it gives you the verse that's being referred to. It tells you the reading they went with, and it tells you how certain they are about it. So an A means they're really sure about it, and sometimes they'll have a B, which means they're not so sure about it. Or let's see what it says here. It's almost certain. C is probably questionable, and then there's D, which means they're really not sure about it. But in this case, they felt that this reading is definitely a true reading, and then they tell you what they think happened and why it's being omitted or why it's being included. So that's one of the beautiful things about modern commentaries, is that there is a way of holding these guys accountable. In any case, takeaway: why is the King James different from other translations? Well, it's because of the manuscripts that were used. The King James used very late, very few manuscripts, 12th century on, just about a dozen, and they were not very many of them. In any case, what I want you to do here, actually I'm just going to stop right